Hey, everybody. Welcome to All Over Bar the Cricket, and an apology up front, boys. My voice isn't great.
Very shaggy.
I don't know what's happened to it. You'll all be thinking, Bray, you've been out in the juice. But I had a very quiet meal with my wife last night, went to bed, and it's very grumbly this morning. So apologies for that. Welcome, Blewy and the Big Doss.
Thanks, JB. I spoke with Travis Head on arrival, and he said he was with you all night after the test match. So, you've been hitting it up with the man in the moment.
We did not come down in the last shower, JB.
I wish I'd had that night. Hey, boys, great to see you both again. Obviously, just having spent the weekend with you. What the bloody hell just happened? Let's start with Travis Head. Have any of us seen a better Ashes 100 than that?
No. Just purely on the currency and the euphoria. It's pretty difficult to kind of get over, to be honest, and to fathom it. You know, that mates were texting come day two, and one of the blokes was saying he was playing golf, and it was actually the fellow that we had in our podcast a few weeks ago, Graham Swan. So he started the day, and in England were 1 for 100, well, 1 for 60 odd, but in effect 1 for 100. And then he got to the 9th hole, stopped for a little refreshment, and Australia went up for 30. So really just goes to show you, just how quickly it turned around, and just how special that turnaround was. And Head obviously is the absolute hero. But for mine, it always started with the ball as well. To get bowled out, front of 50 overs on a good track twice is hugely responsible for some unbelievable bowling, which we'll talk about.
Hey, Blewy, what about the Travis Head quote that I only read this morning? Apparently he was sitting next to Nathan Lyon in the dressing rooms, and he turned to Lino and said, "How hard can it be?" Doesn't that sum him up?
Not very bloody hard.
I heard, I don't know whether someone was taking the piss or not, but someone said also that on the way out, he said, get that booking for the Cottesloe ready for tomorrow as well, because it's going to be all over tonight. But whether it's the best Ashes 100 of all time, I don't know, but it's right up there for a number of reasons. Like, one, I just love the fact, Haydos and JB, that he put his hand up to open the batting as well. There was a bit of, talk with Stephen Smith and a few of the other leaders about who should do it. I think Smithy said Nathan Lyon's name was bandied around, so I'm glad they went with Travis Head. I thought Alex Carey might have also gone up there as well. But for one, to put his hand up, and because of Jake Weatherall's situation as well, he made a duck in the first innings, and just thought that might put him at ease as well. So very selfless. I mean, it's very easy. I've batted at 6 as well, Haydos, as well as opening. Opening is by far harder than batting in the middle order. So one, to put his hand up. But also, we all remember the great shots, right? But I think just as brilliant in that innings was his first 20 balls. Like, he hardly played a shot. Really, he let the ball go well. He sort of just took all the sting out of the bowling. And then I've got to say, when he walked off to that standing ovation, I got goosebumps still. And I was on air at the time. And that was just one of the great ovation. All that the Barmy Army was standing up. Just everyone in the commentary area and everyone around the ground gave him a standing ovation. It was very, very special.
Yeah, the Duckett sort of meet at the end, because those two have been going head to head now for quite a long time. But I thought that's sort of what Ashes represents. There is a healthy level of respect. Just going back to that shot, the one shot that I remember was that slap shot that he played on the back foot, and he flat batted it over the top of mid-on for 6. Off Archer. That was friggin' crazy. I mean, of all the shots that he did play, that thing there is remarkable.
Well, the other one I loved was a bit after that, and it was all the way along the turf to the farthest side of the ground where all that new turf had been laid, and it got there in half a second. Like, it wasn't one bounce. It was all the way along the ground, and I just thought, Bluey, how hard has he just hit that cricket ball?
Yeah, I don't think people realise how hard he does hit it. It doesn't look like he's hitting it that hard, but it just rockets off. He's got great hands. He really has, and he's always had that natural timing. You talk about shots, and I love that over of Ben Stokes. I think he hit him for 4 boundaries in that over. And then Stokesy after that. I mean, even before that, I was watching Stokes very, very closely. He just had nothing. He really didn't. And I heard Stuart Broad, who was commentating for Channel 7 at the time, saying that's the first time in Ben Stokes' captaincy career that he's just looked like he had no answers whatsoever. So that is obviously all full credit to Travis Head. He was sensational. Jake Weatherall, I thought, played a really important role as well. I thought he steadied things down nicely as well at the start of that innings.
And good for Marnus too to get amongst the runs. All right, we love the English press and the way they assess their own team when their own team doesn't perform. So, Blewy, I think you've got a couple there.
Yeah, well, I've got one which is a reference to Joe Root and Travis Head. So it's Dud Root, great head.
Oh, no.
So there was that one I quite liked.
Yeah.
There's one, Jeffrey Boycott. So in the Telegraph, I cannot take this stupid England team seriously anymore. So he's had a bit of a go. And I think a lot of ex-players, a lot of fans are just worried about the way England handle. They get into winning situations all the time and then just throw the game away. The Nuffington Post, that you subscribe to that one, Haydos, wouldn't you? The Nuffington Post. Stuart Broad set to identify as Australian for the rest of the Ashes series. You're on commentary with Stewie when Joe Root got out, weren't you?
Genuine wicket taker is Broad.
British Ginger gets an hour of Head, so obviously it's all Travis Head, getting some cheeky stuff. Then there's one for Big Haydos. This is from the Batuta Advocate. There's a big picture of Haydos with his 100% beaver hat, and it says only Big Haydos could wear a big fucking fuck off hat like that. So there you go. There's some of the memes.
Oh, mate.
Yeah,
well,
it's hard to beat.
Over here. Yep. The paper over here didn't miss him. They actually went after him before the game started. But the big front page pommeled. And I also like Daniel Brettig. He says here, should share equal billing with Slow Horses for the most entertaining limited series to come out of the UK. Oh, man. They have not missed him. So let's talk a bit about that batting, Haydos, because you're right. 1 for 100 in effect. Game gone. But we're all in our commentary box at lunchtime day 2, and all of us looked at each other and said, got trouble. Look, this game's gone.
Yeah,
then within half an hour, it just went like that because Ollie Pope driving away from his body on the rise, then Brook, and then again Root dragging one back on, but bat a long way from the body. We always asked ourselves, is this style of cricket going to work in Australia? It didn't work for that half hour.
No, it didn't. I was coming up the lift after lunch, after, I've got to say, one of the worst butter chickens I've ever tasted in my life as well. It loitered with intent around the Optus Stadium for about 4.5 bloody hours and in my stomach for as long. So I was coming up the lift and a lot of the English press, because you know that we share, that space with a lot of the general media, and they were asking me, and I said, look, I think it's a really good batting day. It's one of those days where you can sense that by day 2, traditionally in Test match cricket, day 2 is kind of the penultimate when it comes to batting. And they're in a great position. I mean, you think about the way that both sort of Duckett was going about his work, and even Pope as well. There wasn't kind of a lot really on offer. And I was expecting fully that by the end of that day, they were maybe still batting even, leaving Australia in a position where we had to chase down big runs. But as you said, there was just zero application from a batting point of view, and zero positioning, match awareness and positioning. Had they have got that right in the change room, England, rather than sort of strutting around like good sorts and kind of hoping and expecting it to happen. Something that will never happen, by the way, from an Australian point of view. That side will never give up. It'll never be in a position where it just fades into the background and just forgets about a result. It's just not how we are as Australians. And so coming into that second session, Scotty Boland with the ball was, and we all have a system where we go 3-2-1, and we were kind of disagreeing. 3-2-1 being highest rating, 3, 2, and 1. And a lot of us had Travis Head, but man of the match, obviously, maybe controversially, was Starkey. But for mine, Boland takes a solid number one. Head obviously has to be number two or number three, but Boland's performance to make that subtle adjustment after the first innings where I felt like he was a bit full, didn't take any wickets and was going at sixes. And then the second innings, he comes out and he just plays on the ego of England. He just throws it out there, fifth, sixth line, owning that back of a length, waiting for England to come looking at it. And that's exactly what they did. So, he's 4 for 30. Again, it just cements him into one of the great bowlers that you kind of don't expect. He's averaging 14 before this match. And again, he's just on fire. So, look, a lot can be said for Australian planning and match awareness. And a lot can't be said for the situation of England that they got themselves in with the bat.
JB, you mentioned some of their stroke play, and we all love that they're going about it aggressively. We all want to see some shots, but some of those dismissals driving on the up in conditions like that it's just bad cricket. It doesn't matter whether you're Don Bradman, Stephen Smith, Ricky Ponting, whoever you want to mention, Sachin Tendulkar. If you've got movement in Australian conditions, you cannot drive on the up. And I think of Crawley, the very first over of the Test match, caught it first slip, driving on the up. The skipper, Stokes, he was trying to drive it, got a good one from Starc that came back in, but that's just a lockdown forward defence every day of the week. And then you mentioned Ollie Pope, and then there was Root as well, driving on the up, and Harry Brook as well. And they're just throwing their wickets away. They're just dealing with fire if you're doing that. And if you remember back to the start of our innings with Jake Weatherald and Travis Head, none of them drove on the up. And Travis Head probably drove on the up when he was probably about 60 or 70. All the others were short pitch bowling and he was crashing them everywhere. But you just can't get away with that. And if they don't make a slight adjustment going to Brisbane, exactly the same thing's going to happen against the pink ball up there.
Well, it could be even
and
worse.
Harry Brook
Blue.
was like his third ball. I mean, at least Pope had got himself in. It was a poor shot. But Harry Brook, that was his third or fourth ball. I mean, that's the bit that I find amazing. He's such a talented player, but you've got to give yourself time in Australia to get adjusted to the bounce and the light even and all of that. So I just remember, Dos, I said this to someone asked me about it last night. Our old captain, Bluey's and mine, Jamie Siddons, who I loved. I loved playing cricket under him. If I'd have got out like Harry Brook and walked in, he would have walked up to me and he said, Bray, I guarantee you get out like that again, you won't play for us again. So get that shit out of your game. He wouldn't have copped it because it was so important that they batted for another hour and a half, and then they're winning the game. They're one up in the series.
Yeah, just lost sight again, just going back to that match awareness. Like even in the first innings, you think of Harry Brook. I mean, he had his flute out playing on what was supposed to be a really dodgy or dicey wicket or spicy wicket at very least. But, the over before lunch, if you remember that, he was facing Starc and he backed away. And it's not like they're, 3 for 250 and he's on 150. So the thing is that at some point they've got to be looking or reflecting England. If they're going to be any chance in this Ashes series, they've got to look at the way, the ebbs and flows of the game and how it is that they can create or absorb pressure. A bit like what Blewy was saying about Weatherald and Heady as well. Like it wasn't just an out-and-out attack. So getting yourself into a position where the throat of an opposition is vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, we were a little bit vulnerable because for the first time in as long as I can remember, we just didn't have that spin option. And, that was going to be effective on that track. And it's going to be the same in Brisbane as well. And remember, I was talking about the vulnerability of Greeny as well. I'm just not convinced. I mean, how many overs did he bowl in this match? Probably, one in the first innings and 3 or maybe 4? Maybe even less, so maybe 3 overs for the game and didn't look great with a bat either, I don't reckon. Started pretty well, but then he was premeditating, sort of almost he got filled in, so just having that stable spinning option in this next test and also the contribution of your all-rounder is maybe our Achilles heel, because they get in, they are a dangerous side. We cannot blink, fellas. Like, this is not, it's not game, set, and match. It's a battle that we've won, but it's certainly not the war.
So the English boys in the commentary boxes, we've got Broady in ours. You could just see, I mean, that vision's gone everywhere around the world, and we were talking about it afterwards with him. But Blewy, you could see what it means to him. Like his body language halfway through the back half of yesterday, of the final day, sorry, he was just almost like he was broken. He's like, this is happening again. Like it gets into their heads, doesn't it, this Ashes series in Australia?
Yeah, well, I think he's still very close to a lot of the players that are playing as well.
Definitely.
And I think he's like everyone else that leading into that first test match thought that was their real chance of winning that first test match, and then try and get some momentum and try and hang on as the series goes on. Because don't forget, there was no Cummins and no Hazlewood on that track. They would have been dynamite. So I think that was their big chance. There was so many chances over that first 2 days for England to really come away with a better result than what they got. So I just think, guys like Stuart Broad know that they just another great opportunity that's happened time and time again with the way that they're playing their cricket. They just cannot ice a game. And in a series like this, Australia, without their best attack, that was a chance that's gone begging.
All right, what about just some quick topics coming out of the game? Cummins, does he play in Brisbane, Dos?
He's going to play in Brisbane, I sense. He was in and around the group a lot when we were interviewing at one stage. He seems like he's in a position where he's ready to go.
You think, Blewy?
Yeah, I agree. I think he'll play. I think he's dying to play. He looked bloody fantastic in the Nets, the vision that I saw. I think there's real doubt over Hazlewood, which is a little bit concerning. Doggett was okay. I think Pat Cummins coming back into that side with Boland bowling better than probably, I thought Boland, as Haydos said, was back to his best in that spell just after lunch. So, I think that the skipper comes back in.
Travis Head opens in Brisbane?
Oh,
well, that's the interesting one. I was talking to Haydos about this in the Qantas Club yesterday. If Usman is fit, I think they will play him because I just think over a couple of years now, the selectors are sort of stuck fat with what they think is their best side. But I'd be tempted to leave him out. I really would, and then I wouldn't bring Webster in. I think you could probably strengthen your batting with someone like a Josh Inglis in there at number 5 and leave Green at number 6. So that's going to be an interesting watch.
Yeah, I've said for a number of years now that you still leave your specialist players in. So if you're going to make any changes, Blue, I reckon it has to be a like for like, and you've got some opening batters that are putting their hand up. Matty Renshaw gets another good 100, putting his hand up. That's the 3rd in 4 matches. But, more than anything, I'm concerned about the way the lack of momentum that tends to get created with Usman at the crease. It just seems like a different tempo. Like when you got that high energy Travis Head option to support the case of opening with him, and also that relationship that he has with Weatherall, it's mounts a compelling case, doesn't it? I mean, Travis Head, what was that, his 9th or 10th 100? It might have been
10th, I think.
In Australia. 10th. He's only got the one away from home, but that doesn't matter because he is at home and he's got 4 Ashes tests ahead of himself. And, but I still believe that we've got enough batting. If he comes in where he does down the middle order, he is the perfect interior decorator. It was just such a beautiful situation for him to come in, like 200 to get, kind of a shit or bust type mentality, and focusing hard on just a one-day type approach. But let's not forget that we have got more than 2 days in these test matches. Like, he can do all that, with Green down and Carey down the middle order. And we can set it up a bit more. What we didn't do this time is really, set it up in the first inning, something that if we keep doing that, we'll keep exposing ourselves and we'll keep letting England back in the game as well. So I think there's a compelling case to keep Khawaja. but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't.
So, to quote the great Richie Benno, Blewy, always do the thing the opposition least want you to do. What do they want? Do they want Travis Head at 5, or are they crapping themselves if he opens again?
I don't think they want Travis Head in the side, full stop. But
Yeah.
I didn't notice when Travis Head came storming up the race yesterday, all the Poms looked straight over
Yeah.
and saw that Travis Head was coming out. Now, I'm not saying that they were, what's that?
They snapped their necks.
Yeah, they did. Oh, right, it's Travis Head.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. Like, I just think that, I don't know, after what he did that was so special, like I feel like now he's locked in too for the rest of the series. Like I think we're going to see some of the best of, just with his form, whether he's opening at number 5. Look, I'd be really tempted to leave him up the top. And I love Uzi. Like I'm really good mates with him as well. But I just feel like with that momentum that's been created, it'd be hard to take it away. What about you, JB? What do you think?
Oh, I love him at 5. I just think when you get a player that explosive batting in that position, it just sets up the innings for you if he gets away. I would worry if he opened that he'd get knocked over a couple of times, lose that momentum.
And confidence.
And then we don't have the awesomeness of him at 5. So I would be tempted to leave him there. But, geez, it'd be exciting. It'd be exciting if they kept him up the top. He is a once-in-a-generation player. I haven't seen another Test cricketer for a long time. Like, the only other player that I can think of is the little keeper from India. You know, he's the only other player that resembles Rishabh Pant, that resembles what Heady does, and that is plays in a way that as the fielding group, you don't know, Haydos, what the hell's about to happen. I mean, it's just so hard to hold him.
And JB, the other thing is, like, when you think of those type of generational players that they're just eye candy, right? Like Gilchrist in our era. You know, same side of the country, getting the fastest or second fastest 100 at the time in an Ashes series. Heady now, you know, sitting in that same space. But why I say he's just a different cheese is because when you look at his overall record, he's not a bloke that's going to average a 50. Like, he's only done that once in 2021. He averaged 50. And that was, he only played 3 tests in that year as well. So, you know, he's not that sort of player. So you judge him by the kind of match-winning performances. And you cannot doubt, you know, when you think of Head's great innings, you go back to the World Cup, which was just in Ahmedabad, where there's just such a cycle of pressure. You've got 1.5 billion people honing in on you. And he just turned that game. He just went, hell no, like he was sitting with his boots on in a bar somewhere out in the back of the bush and just going, it's all right, fellas, I kind of got this, you know. And that's the sort of player that he is. He is kind of that bloke that everyone can relate to in many ways. And his form leading into this wasn't that good. Like this year is his first 100, you know, in 8 games. And last year, you know, was okay, but it wasn't good. So he's not defined by stats. And that's kind of greatness right there. If you're defined by match winners and match winning performances, then you're on the money.
You chucked a couple of names up there, Haydos. Virinder Sehwag wasn't bad either, opening the batting. What about how destructive he was? But the thing I found interesting as well, boys, was the fact that apparently Travis Head's been just niggling away now for months, like trying to get up the top of the order, which, as I said, you know, like the easiest place to bat in Test cricket is 5 and 6, or 4, 5 and 6, I reckon. So the fact that he actually... unless you're in India and you're coming in against a reversing ball or a spinning ball, you're right. But he's the fact that he actually wants to do it, and he thinks he's a better player on pitches that seam and swing. He thinks he's a better player, so he might be well suited to that spot.
Hey, let's just spend a couple of seconds talking about Mitch Starc. What a performance! You got no Cummins, no Hazlewood. You're screaming out for someone to stand up and take control of an attack and go, righto, boys, follow me. His work in that Test match was with to his words, a dud ball in the first innings. They didn't get a good rock, which can happen. That's not criticising Kookaburra. That just happens because they're handmade and they're made out of leather. So it wasn't a great ball in the first innings to work with. Took 7. And then again, a wicket in the first over, 10 wickets for the match. I just can't speak highly enough of Mitch Starc. He is a magnificent cricketer.
Yeah, a wicket.
Yeah, and I'm glad. Sorry, Haydos, you go.
I was just thinking, just historically, it was 25 times that he's got a wicket in the first over of a Test match.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
And he did it in both innings. So and it was the first time as well, which I love these stats, right? Because they're just things that come up after you watch as much cricket as what we all do, and see something for the first time. To have a 0 opening partnership across 3 innings was the first time in the history of the game. It's been going a while, fellas. Yeah. Yeah, and I'd be interested to hear your views as well on player of the match, because up in the commentary box we get a bit of a say on what that looks like, or even if we don't, we together kind of bandy around and go 3, 2, 1. And I had Starc at 3 because I just felt bowling England out inside 35 overs. That was just something really sensational on what I thought was an unbelievable track as well. It had a little bit of nibble, but I think we were kind of tailor making our comments around the wicket based on the beautiful bowling of Starc, and he's just perfected that wobble seam. As a right-hander, they'll all say to you that they're looking for the one that's going to cannon back into their legs and blow them off their feet, like Jake Weatherall in his first innings. But then that ball just drifting across them. I heard Josh Butler explaining it. He used to be able to bowl like a power fade across. Look, you were worried about it coming back in, but it used to just power fade across him. Now batters are going, is it coming or is it not? And so that length that he bowls for a big, tall, quick at high velocity, and he's 92 mile an hour regularly now, and he's a super athlete. And as I said on air at the time as well, I don't know if I could have seen a better caught and bowled live. That was just extreme athletic ability at high pace going through the crease. So, just lots of great stuff to consider, especially if he gets Pat back in the side with him.
Yeah, I'm with you, JB. I couldn't say enough good things about Mitchell Starc. I really can't. And I'm glad that Stephen Smith mentioned after the game how tough he is as well. That's the other thing. Like, he's played with so many injuries and he just wants to play cricket for Australia. And if you think about it too, just his conduct over a long period of time, yes, there's been little episodes in games where he's gone at the batters and that, but overall he's just a great competitor who wants to win games for his country. You can see that every time he bowls. He's as tough as nails, and I love the fact that he's bowling differently now than what he did 2 years ago. He's using that swinging delivery as his surprise ball now, whereas it used to be try and use that as his stock ball. So I think now he feels like he's got a lot more control over the ball. He doesn't go for as many, doesn't go for as many runs as he used to as well. He's a bit more reliable, and he's still bowling at really good pace. So just a bloody good cricketer, isn't he?
Army, I loved. I reckon. So I spoke to Smudge before the second day. He said, mate, it's 50-50, the crowd. That's how many of them are here. And it's not just the Barmy Army, obviously the English contingent, but what a magnificent thing it is to see the ground like that for a Test match in Australia.
And what are they doing right now?
They're down the beach. That's where they are.
Day 3 of a Test match. There's not a hanky inside, mate. They will be burnt to a crisp. They'll look like a potato chip when they come up to Brisbane. Yeah, they were a moodless lot, weren't they? The wicket taking ability of Australia was the mood hoover around Optus Stadium. But we love them. We want to see them silent. I've got to say, a little bit like Broady. We'd love to hear him being. Well, actually, we just wouldn't like to hear him. We want him silent for the rest of the series like he was. I want to be able to carry Broady's bottom lip around each venue that we travel, because at some point it's just going to go bang.
Hey, they love their flag, don't they? There was how many English flags would have been in that stadium over those 2 days?
Best anthem ever.
Great having him in the crowd. Generally, it's what's that?
I reckon they have the best anthem ever as well. Just the way they sort of go about, they're singing it, and then the Barmy Army.
Jerusalem.
Jerusalem. How good's that as well? But generally, their banter's pretty well natured. I mean, they booed Stephen Smith and Alex Carey a little bit, but most of it, 95% of their stuff is bloody good. So they had a lot.
Hey, Broady, what a ripper, by the way. I had no line of sight on Stuart Broad until working with him at this test match. What a lovely fella.
Yeah, knowledgeable.
Yeah, he is.
Calm.
Haydos, yeah, he sort of just ground him into the ground in those commentary stints. But he's a ripper. He really is. And I actually expected that as well. Like, I'd met him a couple of times before, but even though, he's got us going the wrong way a couple of times, standing there, and I think even he said after the Lord's debacle that he regrets how he carried on there as well. So, he takes, some good character to put your hand up and say, I got that wrong. And no, he's a bloody beauty. So we're glad to have him.
I think both him and I have something in common, and that is that we're both going to eat our words. I reckon the way Rudy started that first test match,
that was my next comment.
I shit you not. I'm getting the Clippers fired up for the shave down because it's going to be it's going to be very ugly. And as for Broady's worst side since 2010, knocking on wood, Broady, I'm just not sure that's convincing either.
Joe Root has got a maximum 8 innings now, and I don't think he'll might not bat 8 times. So it's not a good start there.
Is it a null and void? Is it a null and void bet if there's some sort of finger injury or something? Is there any kind of loophole in this gig?
No loophole.
That's the other thing. What if he rips the hamstring off the bone next test?
And everywhere I went, Bluey, in Perth yesterday, everywhere. How's the big man looking? Is he getting warmed up? Every person that came up to me, he's surely going to have to do this, isn't he? I said, mate, 100% he's doing it.
I mean, get some original content, you blokes, as well. I'm tired of the shit dick comments, all right? I'm just not going to be too cold down in Melbourne. We'll give it a bit of a stretch.
We've touched a nerve, JB.
Oh, my goodness. All right, can England bounce back? They've got a pink ball test in Brisbane.
They can. I saw enough vulnerabilities in our batting to, be optimistic for England. And considering you can get the wrong side of the toss, as we know as well, when it comes to day-night games. So I think it can be quite toss-dependent. The one thing that we do know is both of these sides have the capabilities with the ball. And now the question marks is I would have put money on England having a better experience with the bat. I think Duckett looked really good. Ollie Pope looked really good. Root obviously is class. Real concerns around Zach Crawley. Nothing that I saw about him in the 1.5 balls that he faced was any good. And then you've got Brook, who I just think can hurt you. He can be there, Travis Head. So it's really, this next test match is just purely about who handles the pressure with the bat, because we know this pink ball and we know the Gabba, which is ugly, is going to be tough work to survive.
Bluey?
Yeah, and Jamie Smith looks a good player as well. He's dangerous with the bat too. So, I don't think we were a lay-down misère at all, JB. I definitely give England a chance. It's all going to come down to the big moments. I mean, it was Travis Head that took the game away from England, but before that, we were only probably 2 hours away from losing that test match. So they were putting us under a lot of pressure. So, it's how they bounce back from that disappointment.
WinViz had him at what, 75 or even a bit higher going into that after lunch session. So that's what they'll really have to be looking out for. They're not going to. It's not a 20-over game or a one-day game. There's consolidated pressure, a bit more game awareness, a little bit more thinking about the game as well. Like there's a lot of criticism around their preparation, and all of the chickens have come home to roost in my mind. These next, what is it now, 10 days or 11 days? They're just so key, for even their lengths, JB. I don't think they bowled. They had a very obvious plan, but they didn't have a plan B or plan C. Their heads just went down. Joffre Archer and all their ball speeds to a man were down 3 or 4 Ks. It was actually
near good enough.
No, it wasn't.
Start of their bowling innings. They did not come anywhere near hard enough at Travis Head and Jake Weatherald in that second innings.
No, that's right. And so they've kind of exposed, their fragility. But now it's time just to bunker down and look. I don't necessarily agree with, having naughty boy nets and all that sort of stuff, but they got to find a way to think a bit more through their innings without trying to overthink it. I kind of do like the way that Baz sets them free, but it's got to be an earned freedom in Test cricket.
All right, what's on your radar? Blewy, are we starting with you?
Yeah, what's on my radar is we're seeing it time and time again. We look back to last summer, the summer before that, how quick these games of cricket is going. And I feel so sorry for all of us who love the game. I feel like all the spectators, everyone who had tickets for the third day, even fourth day in Perth, are just feeling like, yes, we've seen 2 great days of cricket, some terrible batting along the way, some very good bowling, but I feel like we're robbed at the moment. So that's on my radar. I mean, Travis Head was apologetic after the game saying, sorry I scored so quick. I mean, we love that, but even games in the previous seasons, especially here in Australia, I was in the West Indies too. A game didn't go into the 4th day. So I just feel like that's on my radar, that just the speed of the game is, I feel like it's probably get slammed for this, but it's almost too quick for Test cricket. I just want to see more.
Well, and I feel for the Wacker. I mean, this is their cash cow. An Ashes Test in Perth, that's where the WA Cricket Association make all their money. And the game's gone in 2 days. So I did feel for them. What have you got, big man?
My radar is going to be on the opening partner. Who's going to, because I thought Weatherall did enough. That debate and Head obviously just exploded, but there has to be a point in time where you start to think about the future of Australian cricket. And the worst time is obviously during an Ashes series when you're under pressure. And when you're 1-0 up in the series, you could argue, though, that it's almost the ideal time to go, okay, well, we've got this unique situation. We're 1-0 up in the series. We're absolute red-hot favourites to be in a big chance at the Gabba. We all understand the touring records, of both of these venues, actually. I think Australia had a 58% winning record in the West. And I haven't done the numbers on what it looks like at the Gabba, but I dare say it'd be a tad higher than that. When you think about Australia's record, though, in the last few years, it hasn't been that high, right? So we can't take it for granted. India beat us there. The West Indies came home with a wet sail with Shamar Joseph's unbelievable spell. So that, to me, though, there has to be a bit of a line in the sand here as to what the future looks like and to start blooding, some young talent that have got.
Have you got examples of who you'd like to see?
Well, I'd like to see Renshaw in the team as an opening batter for sure. I've said that all along. I think he's ready to go. But if he doesn't do that, maybe it's time, to look at Head as a more permanent shift, bite the bullet. I don't personally like that. I'm with you, JB. I think he's a much better middle order player with a longer batting framework in mind. There's no reason why I can't do exactly the same thing in tearing an opposition hard out for a long period of time down the bottom when it's more conducive to that sort of play as well. So maybe they go with a specialist opener. That's what's on my radar, though. What's it going to be?
Well, I'll tell you what's on my radar, and that is, I've written it down here, Stuart Broad, poor bastard. And I'll tell you why, Bluey. I went down with the Triple M boys to the Cot Hotel with Lisa, and we had an hour and a half or 2 hours there before we went out to dinner. And Broady came in to have and you can imagine the Cottesloe Hotel is heaving. There's no room to swing a cat anywhere.
Well, why'd you take him there?
I didn't. He was down the road with a couple of his mates having a beer, and he said, I'll drop in and say hello. Ali Cook was there, I think, and Stephen Finn. But Bluey, he's standing there. It's 4 in the afternoon, 4:30. He's got a lineup of 400 people waiting to get a photo. And I looked over, and an hour and a half later, they're still standing there. And I said to Lise, look at this poor bastard. He's just trying to relax and have a beer with his mates. And he could not get away from it. And that's going to be everywhere he goes.
Yeah. Well, he shouldn't have said that we're the worst side in 2010, should he? Although he justified it. That is absolute fodder for the mob here in Australia.
Yeah. Well, and it's a credit to how great a cricketer he was. You know, he's so popular. But if he'd be standing there, Blewy, thinking, if this is every day in Australia, I'm going to have to go about it differently.
Well, I thought when you said that, and there was a lot of people at the cot, I thought he might have been getting some direct feedback, but it was just the photos.
The popularity.
So, it was just the photos. Hey, happy birthday to the great Lord. I think it's today. Beefy's, it might even be 70. Is he 70 today? Anyway,
he's 70 today.
Yep. So happy birthday to our great mate, who, by the way, Dos, I was doing one of the latest stints on Triple M. He was down to do the next stint, and I suddenly got a producer in my ear saying, Izzy Westbury has come in for the Lord Ian Botham because he's gone to the bar.
Yeah, it's a shakedown.
He just downed tools and went to the bar.
He was like the catcher at the pitcher's mound. Just nope, I'm not coming.
What about when we're in the commentary box and they were, as you said, Haydos, effectively 1 for 99 at lunch, and the Lord was saying we should declare now. We've got enough. So I'll tell you what, the old tail went between the legs towards the end.
The words getting eaten.
Disappeared. Just turn around and off.
We'll forgive him though, because he was at the bar, which you can, it's thirsty work, Test cricket.
No, true. He's half an Australian these days anyway.
I'll tell you what we did find, Blewy and I mentioned it before, when we went to the, and thanks for your generosity, by the way, for hosting us, JB. That was magnificent.
Oh, pleasure.
One of the great privileges is coming to your room
good fun,
with
wasn't it?
Lisa and just sitting there and having a couple of nice bottles
waxing lyrical.
Ricky Ponting's delicious wine.
Yeah,
but how good is the day after beer? Blewy and I sat in the Qantas Club lounge and found the bottom of a couple of jars, and I'm telling you, there wasn't even any froth on the side or gathered down the bottom at the end of it. It was just, they were just drained empty.
Hey, Dos, I was disappointed when my flight was boarding.
Yeah.
I was just settled in there nicely.
Oh, Coopers. We were drinking that Coopers and just, oh, my God, it was just the mother's milk. It was delicious.
What about in this room I'm sitting in now? I'm not, for obvious reasons, going to go into what they were disagreeing about, but Aaron Finch and Ricky Ponting had a very different opinion on a subject and would not budge, either of them. So they had one go at it, and then we changed the subject, so they stopped. And then, Blewy, 20 minutes later, again, straight at it. So then we changed the subject and they stopped. And then 30 minutes later, again, they went.
See, back in the old days, this was never an issue, right? Because usually just the bigger person wins. So it gets down to the point where it's just, right, you've got this opinion, then met, and then there's no more change of opinion.
I was laughing, Blewy, so hard because they are so dogmatic, those two.
Oh, yeah.
And
it was never wrong, those boys.
Never wrong, never change an opinion. And Broady's sitting there. He looks at me at one stage and he goes, "Is it always like this?" I said, "Yep." Yes, it is.
you know, one of the great privileges is just sledging punter, because not many people do, but I just love hopping into him about his dodgy toss in 2005. And it goes over like a lead balloon. We had the 7 function.
Does, you can...
And I was looking over at Chardy, and I was looking even as the room intimidated. I mean, it was like, ooh, what's going to happen here? Haydos has just had a go at Chard.
What about his response? Blewy, what about his response? Big Dos starts talking about the 05 toss at Edgbaston, and punter just turns around and goes, "Oh, you were on that tour, were you?"
Yeah.
just the Launceston bite. It was just, hey, just chalk.
That's it. See, bring back the good old days, because it would have fitted. It would have started with that one, and then Big Dos would have just gone in there and just gone the manhandle, and then it would have been game over, Ricky.
Come from the top rope.
Oh, my God.
Big body slam.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, great fun. Apologies for my voice again. We can't wait for Brisbane now. We'll get a show in beforehand.
Yeah,
Maybe
definitely.
see if we can lasso Hetty. He said he was coming on.
Yeah, he might be tough. He might be a tough get now, though. Jeez, you have to drag him out of stratosphere.
He should be up for it now.
He's
Yeah.
got extra time off, so yeah, let's get him on.
All right, let's see if we can get him on next week. But loving it. Well done,
Yep,
you two.
good stuff, boys.
Enjoying all over bar the cricket, by the way. Get wherever you get your podcast, but watch it on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Instagram. We will see you next week when we bring back all over bar the cricket.